The Ziggurat of Uruk. There are many different places in the world that have enigmatic beginnings, places that are just difficult to really kind of grasp why are they there. But when you look at the big picture of the Ziggurat and of or otherwise known as Uruk, Iraq, you very quickly come to realize that this is a pre-apocalypse city. How sure am I that this is a pre-apocalypse city? They did scans of the ground around the area.
More recently, from 2001 to 2019, the site was explored again by a team that included archaeologist Van S. and geophysicists Jörg Fassbinder and Helmut Becker of Ludwig Maximilians University of Munich. The team used a magnetometer to produce a map of the city's buried foundations and structures. The map revealed several surprising features. For example, that the center of Uruk stands on top of 35 layers of building lying on top of one another to a depth of 25 meters.
Buildings have foundations that go 82 feet deep. The earth is layered over many thousands of years.
And the Creator is not happy yet, so he decides to make a hole through the heavens, and he takes rain and snow and the earth that was in the hole and drops in through. And he does this for a long time because his intention is to create Mother Earth. And he's talking all the time he's doing this. You will be the mother. I will give you everything you're going to need to be able to provide what will be needed.
We're talking about a temple that is dedicated specifically for the Venus apocalypse event. And I'm going to show you how I know that in today's video.
Click that subscribe button for me and leave me a comment down below. Welcome to Apocalypse 34, the Ziggurat of Uruk, an apocalypse shelter.
One would be easily mistaken if they thought that the first picture here represented the relative state of the ziggurat when found. But the reality is that it was found heavily decayed, with several generations of partial rebuilds taking place, as it was used as a temple to the moon goddess Nana. The base structure, and the area around it though, are burnt toast, and not just in a metaphorical way. I mean, the whole area was part of a discharge, and it is the evidence of a discharge over the site that gives it away. For example, if you examine the larger area around the ziggurat, you can make out one of two geometric forms, either a pentagon or a hexagon. I'm favoring a hexagon because hexagons are the shape you get with a plasma extrusion as used in manufacturing. That it is a temple to the moon goddess Nana suggests that the moon was likely the cathode drawing the discharge. The reason this little sliver of this previous civilization survived was because of its location. In Phase 1, there was an impact which created a debris field that went up. In Phase 2, the force no longer pushed up, and the material experienced a neutral fall down. In Phase 3, the core of the Earth discharged, splitting the crust at what we now call the Red Sea and leaving a round debris field. The Ziggurat of Uruk is located along the boundary zone between the neutral phase that created the debris field and the discharge zone and debris field caused by the ionizing discharge that split the Earth, forming the Red Sea. This is a very special place on the globe, right in between these two boundaries, which is one of the things that makes it possible for survivors to have lived through this. The claim of a pre-apocalypse settlement seems a big claim, but if you look just 20 miles north of the site, into the middle of the Mesopotamian desert region, you can see another segment of a former building sitting all alone. Is it more likely that there was a flourishing city here before the Venus apocalypse that was decimated, leaving the remnant building in the middle of the desert? Or is it more likely that some asshole had slaves haul stone all the way out into the middle of a desert just to build a summer shack, and then later some other bloke came along and dragged away just some parts of the building? Look around the building closely. There is no rubble of the missing parts. The rock is just gone. This building was destroyed in the Venus apocalypse and is the remnant of probably a much larger complex. They should actually be doing scans on the ground around this thing. If you want a demarcation in the anthropological research timeline, here it is. Humans weren't simply hunter-gatherers prior to the apocalypse. We had buildings of sophistication on par with the Romans, but check out the difference in the columns. These columns are made from clay bricks and not from a single solid block of stone. I've said this before, and it's important to grasp the concept. Prior to the Venus apocalypse, the earth was made up of clay, and there was no stone unless they baked it. These buildings belonged to a pre-apocalypse civilization, as did the Ziggurat of Ur. Just like survivors of an earthquake, attempting to rebuild the city that was destroyed, what we see at Ur is a civilization built on top of the rubble created by the Venus apocalypse. If you look closely at the grounds around the site of Uruk, you can see that there was an event here, and it reminds me quite frankly of a blown circuit. Now, despite the crappy satellite imagery, you can see that we have a road with a clear line, and yet across it we have a Lichtenberg figure. The road was here, and then the discharge crossed it. The Ziggurat may have been designed and located here as an apocalypse shelter. There are electrical discharges humans can survive, and electrical discharges we can't. This area was struck by a discharge during the apocalypse, and the survivors memorialized the site to the moon. The people of these areas are the survivors of an event that happened thousands of years ago. This site at Ur is possible because it was located in a very specific boundary zone, and it is one of the more fascinating locations on the entire Earth because it provides proof of an electrical discharge across an existing ancient city. At the heart of the city was the temple to Nana, the goddess of the moon. So yes, the Three Little Pigs story is a Venus apocalypse tale. It's another fairy tale from childhood to childhood for thousands of years that, it may have only been a very small percentage of the people who still told the story, but it just had to survive till it could be written down. And so the three pigs are telling us that the brick houses were how they survived. And when you read a number of the stories, they talk about a fire being used to repel the wolf as he comes down the chimney, and that very well suggests that they may have actually also been designed during the discharge that hit the site. It may have been that they were designed to create a force up. The site, the Ziggurat, it looks, quite well surrounded by the discharge that came down, making me wonder if it didn't have some sort of self-protection that was an electric property of the building. And in 1923, when Sir Leonard Woolley first found the building, he discovered that there was a brick that showed the entire design of the building. And that's how we know that there's a hidden chamber inside. And that hidden chamber, that inner chamber, was where those survivors huddled to survive the apocalypse itself. And after that, tradition says that they would use offerings. They would give offerings and they would place them in this secret chamber. And the reason they're doing that is that it's very much like bringing flowers to a grave site. They're memorializing the site where their ancestors survived the Venus apocalypse. On whole, the Ziggurat at Uruk is a fascinating and incredible site. It gives us information about a people and a world that we have yet to recognize as being advanced and here before the Venus apocalypse occurred. We didn't come from, people walking through the marshlands. We came from a very special group of individuals who survived a very special event in our past. Is the Ziggurat of Ur a Venus apocalypse shelter? Don't forget to leave me your thoughts in the comments down below. Tell me what you think it was. And peace out, everyone.